So yeah, what we're going to be talking about is 2021 R3, the latest release. It's mostly about Win-911 mobile updates. Um, and then there's the announcer. So we're going to talk about the new features for mobile, which is the mobile alarm history. It allows you to view alarm history in the app. The Mobile Operator Workspace, which is basically the mobile version of the Operator Workspace on your desktop. I'll talk more about that, and then some other just general changes. And then we'll talk about the mobile, the multi-system announcer that we released with this version too. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with the mobile alarm history. I assume you guys can see it. Didn't check if you can see my screen as well. Sorry about that. All right, cool. All right. Then we'll start with the mobile history. So a while ago when we released Win-911 Mobile, one of the initial feature requests we had on our feature request board was for mobile history. So the problem was that you could get alarms on your mobile app, but once the alarm cleared, you couldn't see it anymore. And so could be situations where alarm comes in, you see the push, maybe you don't pay that much attention to it. It's already cleared. You go to the app and there's just nothing in the summary, so you don't even know what alarm was triggered. And we decided we'll address that problem by adding in a mobile alarm history into the app. And this is based on a lot of the feedback that we got from our customers. When we decided we were going to go ahead and implement this, I surveyed a few customers that upvoted this up on the feature request board, sent them a survey, and got their feedback on what they would like to use the mobile history for to make sure we're solving the right problem. So what we went ahead and did is added a new option to the mobile app. So when you get the new mobile app, you'll see alarm history in your menu on the left for Android. For iOS, and I apologize, I don't have a screenshot for it. You'll see it at the bottom of the app. You'll see an option for alarm history there. So this is going to give you access to up to 31 days of previous alarm history. And you're only going to be viewing the alarms that were sent to you. So you're not going to see all the alarms in the system, just the ones that were sent to you. This is what it will look like. It just looks like a regular summary screen here where you can see the previous alarms. When you click on one, you're going to see the details of that particular alarm, and you can change the format. I'll talk about that in just a moment. One thing you're going to notice here is that you're not seeing the chat tab or the Teams tab. The chat was where you can message other operators about that particular alarm, and then the Teams would show you who else had seen the alarm. In our review sessions with customers, our users, they told us basically they didn't need to see that for the alarm history, and it happens to make it work much quicker this way anyway. So you're not going to see those options. You're just going to see the past alarm state updates of this particular alarm lifetime. So you could tap through those other alarm states and you'd see the details there. If you have a bunch of alarms, then you likely want to sort through or filter them and sort them based on some criteria. So we have an option to filter them. You can do it by date, time. You can see the other options here: tag, condition, actor. You can do severity. Everything is on a greater than or equal operator there. So if I type in 500, it's going to show me all the alarms that were between this particular date time at the top and anything that's over 500. So you'll be able to sort and filter the alarms in the history. And if you want to use labels too, you can filter them with the labels if you're leveraging the alarm labels. We also, I mentioned you can change the format. We made a different format feature for just the alarm history, for that summary and for the details. And the reason that we did this was because we figured that maybe if you're looking at previous alarms or alarms that are in the past, and you may want to have a different format for that in your summary. For example, you could have the alarm name at the top, but maybe you want to see who acknowledged it. So all your alarm details would show alarm name and then the acknowledging user below that, something like that. So you'll have the ability to change the format on the summary and details of alarm history. So there will be 4 places that you can have a custom format in the new app. That's pretty basic there. This is my example of that here. So you've got, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, but the lift station number 22 waste pump, and then below that I've got the time and the acknowledging user. This was acknowledged by the dispatcher, and my @ comment is WIN-911 system, so that's why it says that. Just a few more things about the alarm history. We didn't make any architecture changes to mobile, so if you were worried that you'd have to make any new firewall changes for this to work, everything goes through the same communication channel, so you don't have to make any changes to your existing network if you're using mobile. Everything is stored on-prem, so all the alarm history that you're accessing through the app is coming from a database that is where your WIN-911 system is installed. So we're not storing anything in the cloud, so you don't have to worry about your sensitive data being stored up there. Our web app that you're connecting to is essentially just serving as a proxy for communication between WIN-911 and your mobile app. I did say at the beginning it's up to 31 days of history, and that is adjustable in your workspace. It looks like this when you set it up. When you go put in your mobile gateway details, you've got retain alarm history, and you can set that to however many days you want, 31 being the max. One of the reasons you may want to do that is if you have tons and tons of alarms going off in your system, maybe you don't want to have all those alarms being stored in a database and great bloating your database, making it bigger than you would want it to. So that is the alarm history. Next, we'll talk about the Mobile Operator Workspace. So Operator Workspace, what that's going to allow you to do is make changes to your call out list and your contact or connection details through the mobile app. Now, I realize that not everybody's going to want to allow their users to do that. So we did make it so that you have to enable it for each mobile connection. And this is what it looks like in the directory. When you set up a WIN-911 mobile account, you have this option for WIN-911 mobile workspace access, and you can set it to edit, view, and none. So if you're on edit, then you can make changes to the call out list. If you're on view, then you can view all the call out lists or connections and their schedules and their roles. But once you go to try to change them, it will not let you do that. And of course, you can set it to none, and then you can't see anything. So you got to turn it on for each individual user. And this is what it's going to look like. In the mobile app, you're going to see an option for notification policies, and this is going to allow you to add, remove, and reorder the contacts in your call-out list. What you're going to see here in this list are your basic notification policy call-out lists, and if you're using advanced, the workflows aren't going to be in there, but the call-out list that you're using in your advanced notification policies will be available, so you'll be able to change those too. Basically everything that's in your call out list, all the delays and the looping, all of those features are going to be available in here. So here's what it looks like when you go to select a notification policy. You choose from one of the policies that are in your system. When you click it, it shows you all the users that are in that account in that particular policy. If you want to change the order, you tap on one of these and you hold it down, and then you can drag it anywhere you want in the list. If you click these arrows, you can see the details for that particular account and adjust the delays between connections and so on. If you want to add somebody, you'll get this pop-up box that shows all the different contacts in your system, and you can select them from there. If you want to filter them down, assuming you have a ton of contacts in your system, you'll be able to do that. So you'll select those contacts and just throw them back into the list. So you can't limit it on, it's basically all or nothing. If you give edit access, you'll be able to edit all the notification policies in the system, and you'll be able to edit all the connections, which is what we're going to show now. So you'll also be able to change the schedule and the roles for the connections. So if you'll see another option for connections in the mobile app. When you click on that, you're going to see a list of all the connections in your system. So if you click on somebody, you'll see an option for changing their schedule. And just a second here. So you'll be able to see that and make changes there. So you can change the roles and you can change the schedule. Now, one of the benefits of changing roles in here, if you're using workflows and you're using role-based notification, you can basically uh, put them in and out of workflows just by that role. For example, if you're using an on-call role and your workflow said whenever it's after hours, notify the person with the on-call role, then you can move that around in the mobile app without having to actually go to the WIN-911 machine. So that's pretty cool. You can also just remove people from call-out lists by changing their schedule from something like always, or and then change it to never, and then they just won't get a notification when it comes to them in the list, in the call-out list. All right, so that is Operator Workspace. The next thing we'll talk about are some other changes we made to the mobile app. This one's date time and date time format. So one of the issues that we had was internationally that our date times weren't working very well for our customers. So we decided that we're going to give you the option to change that date time. And there are a few presets that are available here that you can see on the screen. And then if you're not happy with those preset formats, then you'll be able to enter a custom format and have it be displayed any way you like. So it's just going to use a common date time format that you've seen anywhere. So if you're literally typing these uh, letters, slashes, and colons in there, and then you'll see the preview at the bottom. So if you're not happy with one of the presets, then you can type in any format that you want. We've also made some localization updates. Our main workspace, the desktop app, is localized in these languages, and we decided we'd just go ahead and update the app to support them as well. These are all human translated, and we don't use machine translations here because the quality of them is not very good. So we just try to stay away from them. So it's really all there is to that. You just click one, say okay, and then it immediately switches over to that language, and then you can switch it back or switch it around. Wanted to mention the mobile hub. If you don't know about the mobile hub, it's a piece that adds a layer of separation between your Win-911 system and the internet. Um, so, for example, obviously Win-911 Mobile needs access to the internet. If you don't want to allow internet access on the machine where you're running Win-911, you can use this mobile hub piece to run it somewhere like your business network, have it exposed to the internet, and then Win-911 connects to the hub. So Win-911 is not directly exposed to the internet. You can also, if you do set it up and you have multiple Win-911 systems, they can all connect to it as well. Really, the reason that I'm bringing this up is if you're using the mobile hub and you upgrade to R3, you have to upgrade the mobile hub too. It will not work correctly unless you upgrade both together. Now, the mobile hub is backwards compatible with previous versions of Win-911. So if you do upgrade and you have other Win-911 systems that you didn't upgrade, they'll continue to work. So you don't have to worry about that. And this is a diagram of how you would use um, the mobile hub in your plant network. So, for example, you got the Win-911 system all the way on the left. You don't want internet access on that particular network segment, so you put the mobile hub on your business network enterprise network and you run the mobile hub there. So now there's traffic going between Win-911 and the hub, and then the hub itself on that network segment is actually exposed to the internet, and that's connecting to our Azure services in the cloud. I just wanted to point that out. If you want to go ahead and try Win-911 Mobile, then it is available. Well, if you want to try Win-911 Mobile, there's two ways to do it. The first way is the easy way. So use our demo server. If you get the app, you'll see an option at the bottom that says use demo. When you click on that, it'll log you in. I'll talk about that in a second. And then the other option is just go ahead and download Win-911 and install it, and we'll give you all the information you need to do that. For the demo system, when you log in, it's gonna run for 15 minutes and then it will log you out. While it's running, it's triggering alarms and it's gonna be sending you push notifications. If you don't want the push notifications after you've demoed it, you can go ahead and sign out and it will stop sending them to you. You can log in as many times as you want. It will restart the 15-minute timer every time. In the demo, you'll be able to access the alarm history of the alarms that we're generating up there. I don't think I've got it set to not just a few days because we trigger so many alarms on there. The database is massive. So we've cut the amount of days that we're storing things down a bit. We've also got the notification policies and contacts up there. You can look at the notification policies, reorder people, but you can't save it. And you can't save changes to your contacts either. You'll get a message pops up on your screen saying that saving is disabled for the demo. So oh yeah, I forgot I got an animation here, so you can see the messages that pop up when you sign in. Yeah, so you just can't save notification policies and contacts in the app. If you want to download WIN-911, it's up on our website. You can go to win911.com. Under the product section, you'll see an option for download WIN-911 2021 R3. You'll fill out a form, and then you'll get a download link, and you can download WIN-911. There will also, in that form, when you fill it out, there's an option for demoing mobile. So you have to get this mobile account from us. Check that box, and then we'll be sure to include that in the email that we send over to you. Licensing, no changes for licensing. All the notification policies and contacts is just included. Mobile itself is available for interactive and advanced licenses. If you have version 7 and you had Mobile 911, you can convert those over to WIN-911 mobile licenses. That would be an interactive license with WIN-911 mobile when you convert it. Mobile does require an active support agreement, so if your support agreement isn't renewed, then WIN-911 the mobile will stop functioning at that time. Only the mobile app is affected by this, nothing else. No other notification methods will be affected. And I wanted to bring this up again about Mobile 911, which is our previous app. We end of lifed it last year in December. The push servers are still up and running, but we're about to take those down. Reason they're still online is because we figured there'd be some stragglers and we didn't want to cut them off completely. But just be aware, if you are on the older app, it is end of life now, and the servers will be shut down very soon. There is a post up on our website about it that you can check out. And that's it for the mobile stuff. Now we're going to go ahead and just quickly talk about the announcer. The announcer is a standalone desktop app. You use it to subscribe to alarms that are in your WIN-911 system, and then it's going to announce them over the speaker port or the speakers of the computer that it's running on. So once the alarm comes through, it's going to go through a text-to-speech engine, and then it's played through your speakers on your computer. Now, it can be any audio device that's linked to your computer. So, for example, it could be a Bluetooth speaker because it's going to show up as an audio device, and whatever shows up in that icon on the bottom right of your screen where the speaker is, whether it's the local speaker port, headphones, a Bluetooth device, you can play the alarms on any one of those things. So the announcer itself is not new, but we did make an update to it so that you can connect it to multiple WIN-911 systems. Previously, you could only connect it to one. One of the reasons you may want to do that is if you have a primary and a secondary WIN-911 system, you can connect your one announcer to both. And it would look like something like this. When you set up announcer, you've got the connectivity tab, and you can click this add dispatcher button on the bottom left and fill in the details for where that particular dispatcher is running. When the announcer will connect to it, and it will start announcing alarms for that system too. When you configure the announcer to actually get alarms, there's an option down here for announce while in standby mode. The reason that's there is because by default, WIN-911 doesn't announce alarms for a system that's in standby mode. So if you're running an active system and a standby system, it's only going to be announcing the alarms from one of the systems. And if the secondary then goes into active mode, then it'll start announcing those alarms. So this is one use case you could use with the announcer for connecting to multiple systems. It doesn't have to be this way. You can just connect it to a bunch of disparate systems and be announcing alarms for all your Win-911 systems from one particular announcer. Now you do have options in here for subscribing to alarms. So the way it works is that you tell announcer, I want to announce alarms for all the alarms that are assigned to this particular notification policy. You can put a message prefix in front of it. So every time an alarm is announced, it will say the prefix. You got the replay interval there. So if, as long as the alarm is still in the system, it will replay it every 15 minutes and or whatever you set it to. The minimum is 5 minutes. I don't have screenshots of everything else in here, but there is an announcer webinar with a demo. If you want to learn more about the announcer, I would go ahead and check that out, and you could see exactly how it works. Just a few notes about it. It is installed with 2021, so when you install Win-911, it's automatically there. You can run it on remote machines over the network. So because of that, we've created a standalone installer for the announcer, so you can install it on other systems. And of course, because it's an announcer and it announces things over an audio device, it has to have an audio device on the machine when you install it. Licensing is pretty simple. It's included with all the license levels, so there's no additional purchase required. If you have a version 7 license and you want to convert to the newer Win-911, then you can. I did mention that in the mobile stuff. So you're free to upgrade to 2021 from version 7 as long as you have an active maintenance agreement, and then you're entitled to a free upgrade to interactive. And that about covers all the new stuff that I wanted to talk about today. What's next for us? We're currently working on a new OPCDA module. So the existing one we're not totally happy with. So we took a bunch of user feedback and we're overhauling that to be much easier and quicker to configure. We'll also be able to do things like sync acknowledgements, and so it'll act more like a direct connect. We're also working on OPC UA modules so that we can connect to UA servers for DA and alarming conditions. So alarming conditions, or some people call it alarm events, it functions more like you subscribe to a server and you just get the alarms. It's not a traditional OPC connection where you're importing a bunch of items and setting up alarms on those items. It's much easier to set up because you're just subscribing to alarms and they just automatically come in. So we're working hard on those things. If you have anything that you'd like us to take a look at, we do have a feature request board on our website. You can go to features.win911.com. Search through those. If it's already there, you can just click vote and add your name to the list of people that are requesting that particular feature. And when there's updates, you'll get them. And if it's not there, then go ahead and make a new post and put in your request there. We do have some upcoming webinars. These are our new user training sessions. So if you are curious about Win-911, want to get more training and talk to one of our tech guys, then go ahead and sign up for one of these webinars and we'll walk you through a setup and answer any questions that you have about Win-911 itself. And that's it. So if there are any questions, I guess I'll answer some questions. I did want to mention one thing about Win-911 Mobile. We released R3 yesterday, and it looks like we're having an issue with the new Microsoft authentication library that we're using. So there's some users that are not able to use the new Win-911 system or the new Win-911 mobile app, and because of that, it doesn't look like we're going to have a solution today. We're actively looking at it. So I think we're going to go ahead and roll back the apps to the previous version until we solve the problem, which hopefully would be done by tomorrow. But I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. R3 itself is already released. It's on the website, so feel free to go and download it. So I'll take a look at the questions here.
I'm here too, Stephen. So if you want me to kind of go down the list,
yeah. Well, it looks like you can go ahead, Jeremy. If you guys have any questions, put them in the Q&A section of GoToWebinar, and then we can answer them there. So yeah, go ahead, Jeremy, whenever you're ready.
All right, I'll just start at the top. There's a few of these that kind of came in during the session. For everyone here, this is Jeremy, channel manager. One of the questions is, what will it take to upgrade from 4.21.5 advanced to the new version?
The install itself can, assuming your current in support and all that is taken care of, then all you need to do is download the new version. It will upgrade on top of version 4. So it'll migrate your configuration. We didn't have the advanced features until R2, but now with we're at R3 now, and so all the advanced features that you had in version 4 are there. So just need to run the install on top of on your existing system, and everything will migrate. You don't have to do anything special.
Perfect. The next question here, is there an easy way to find out what system or version you're on?
In the newer WIN-911, the 2021 version, if you open up Workspace and go to the settings, you'll be able to, or the system info rather, you'll see the version pasted there or printed there. It'll say WIN-911 2021 R2 or R3, whatever version you're on. Other than that, you can go to add remove programs and you'll see the version of the navigation module, and that is the version that you're on.
All right, there was a question that came up during the announcer portion asking it, can it be disabled? So I don't know, can you disable it by location? Can you just talk a little bit to that with announcer?
When you configure, when you configure the announcer, what you're doing is you're pointing it to a WIN-911 system. Then you, on the subscription tab, you're saying, I want to connect to these particular notification policies and announce the alarms that are triggered. The only way to disable it would be to delete that subscription or to turn the announcer off. There's no like mute button for a particular notification policy, if that is what you mean.
But you can also disable it by state too, right? So you could say,
oh yeah, there's that.
it.
Yeah, if back in that screenshot at the bottom, what you saw, there were a few different checkboxes for the alarm states. And the reason those are there, if you only want to announce a particular alarm state, then you can uncheck those boxes. I don't think you can uncheck all of them, though. I believe you have to check at least one.
All right, thank you. Question here, has the native primary standby function been released, or is it still dependent on HMI scripting?
It's still dependent on the scripting. We've got some designs for a failover module. It's two pieces. One is the actual failover module, and then the other one is a status module that monitors the status of WIN-911. We were working on that. Some priorities changed. Now we're working on mobile. I think we're going to revisit that here soon and start working on those designs again. I mean, the designs are pretty far along, so we just need to develop it.
Okay. I had another question on announcer. Does it require an initial configuration?
When you launch the announcer, you have to put in a network address of a WIN-911 system. It's defaults to localhost, so you have to put that in there. And then when you you have to visit each tab and hit the save button. And on the subscription tab, which is where you tell it which notification policies to monitor, it's defaulted to all notification policies. So you could hit save and it would just start announcing the alarms that are triggered in that WIN-911 system. So I mean, you have to configure, you have to run it's a separate application from everything else. So when you run it, you do have to configure it to talk to the WIN-911 system, even if it's local. It's very minimal stuff you have to do to get it going, though.
Right, and it's just tied back to the same notification policies you already have, right?
Yeah, you'll see all the when you hit the drop down for notification policies, it loads them from your WIN-911 system. You choose which ones you want. The configuration for the announcer is stored in a DB file, so it's separate from SQL. It doesn't connect to SQL. When you start announcer for the first time, it generates that database so that you can save your configuration to it.
Great. This question I can answer. It's kind of a sales question. If you have V7 and no support agreement, do you need to pay full price to upgrade? So we have just there's just a flat upgrade fee depending on if you're on version 7 basic, or maybe if you have version 7 Pro. And then we also had at some point we used to offer a light license for version 7. So the cost is a little bit different depending on the direction you take. But in short, there is an upgrade path from basic to our current standard, which is going to give you SMS and email one way only, and then Pro to interactive, which is going to give you the mobile app features as well as voice, email, texting, and you get the remote acknowledgements. All right. This is kind of similar, I think, to another question. Is auto failover now available from primary to backup nodes? I think you kind of touched on that.
I mean, yeah, it's same answer that I gave for the other one. It's not available yet, but like I mentioned, we do have designs for it. We just need to reprioritize it, and then we'll be able to tell you when we'll be releasing it.
Does R3 now show the support expiration date workspace?
Yeah, yeah, that little thing, it took it out, and a lot of people were upset about that. But yeah, it's back in there. In the system info, you'll see the expiration date there when you type in your support code.
All right. I think you briefly touched on this with some of the new features, but one of the questions is, does the mobile operator interface have any security to particular users, or is it none or for all users access?
Yeah, so yeah, we figured not everybody would want to have access to that. It is those 3 levels of access. So when you create your mobile user in WIN-911, you're going to have 3 options to choose from for the operator workspace access. It's none, so you can't do anything. There's view, so you'll be able to actually see the connections, see their schedules and roles, and then you'll see the notification policies and all the people that are in the notification policies, but you won't be able to make any changes to them. And then edit obviously means you can make changes to those. So again, you have to enable it for the users for them to be able to use it, because it's not enabled by default.
All right. There's another question about upgrading. Does 2021 R3 install on top of R2?
Yeah, just run the install and it'll upgrade from the first 2021 release. We now are calling that R1, by the way. So if you ever hear us say R1, we're talking about the first 2021 release. So it'll upgrade R1 and R2. I believe we're still going back to, was it 4.19.5? Oh, it was the last version of 3, I think.
Yeah, 3.19.5.
Yeah, okay. That sounds right. So yeah, all the previous versions of WIN-911, if it's in the documentation for upgrade, it will just upgrade directly. It will migrate your database and everything, so you don't have to reconfigure anything. If it's older than our oldest version, then you'd have to upgrade to one of those older releases before you could go to 2021 or start a new configuration altogether. And of course, we got the version 7 import utility if you're on version 7 and you want to convert your configuration with that tool. We're going to be making changes to that soon too, to make it a little bit easier to use. I think that was it. I think those are all the questions. So a copy of this webinar will be available on the website if you guys want access to it later. Other than that, that's all we've got today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our sales team, and thanks for attending the webinar today. Talk to you guys later.